In the meantime, Kenyans have rejected President William Ruto's 4.2 trillion shilling budget for the 2025-26 financial year. According to financial experts, if the budget is approved by Parliament in June, Kenyans will continue to be overtaxed, while government borrowing will also increase, further worsening the already dire state of the economy. And TV's David Mudoka breaks down the numbers for us.
It will be Kenya's biggest budget in history if approved by Parliament. Initially, the 2025 to 2026 Hustler budget was set at 4.5 trillion shillings before Cabinet on Tuesday reduced it to 4.2 trillion shillings on Tuesday. Out of the 4.263 trillion shillings proposed to be spent by government from July this year to June next year, 3.096 trillion shillings will be spent on recurrent expenditure. 725.1 billion shillings will be spent on development expenditure. 436.7 billion shillings will be disbursed to counties, and 5 billion shillings will go to the contingency fund. The executive has been allocated 2.494 trillion shillings, the judiciary 25.749 billion shillings, while Parliament has been allocated 42.488 billion shillings. The government plans to finance the budget mainly through tax revenues such as income tax that affects payslips and value-added tax that mainly affects the prices of basic commodities. In the next financial year, government wants to collect taxes amounting to 2.835 trillion shillings, up from 2.6314 trillion shillings projected for this financial year. Total revenue for the 2025 to 2026 financial year is projected at 3.386 trillion shillings, up from the 3.066 trillion shillings projected to be raised this year, and will also include appropriation in aid, which refers to revenues collected by government entities for the specific services they provide. This means there shall be a revenue deficit of 831 billion shillings that can only be plugged through borrowing. Net domestic financing is projected at 684.2 billion shillings, while net external financing is projected at 146.8 billion shillings for the upcoming financial year. Against the backdrop of the likelihood that new taxes will be introduced and the existing ones increased to finance the next budget, Kenyans, who are already reeling from the harsh economic times, have rejected the 2025 to 2026 financial year budget.
Iletwe kwetu tuichambue, na sababu already tunajua iko juu, tutaikataa kwa sababu kila kitu fuel ina hike. Ukiangalia sasa kama ni tukienda kununua kama ni mafuta, sasa itakuwa iko bei ya juu kwa sababu wanataka kurecover hiyo pesa. Unaona? Na ile nyingi ni yenye hata iko kwa mifuko yao wanaiba.
They have further warned that the budget and the subsequent Finance Bill 2025 could trigger a fresh round of nationwide protests.
Mimi sipendi maandamano, lakini kikufikisha mwisho unashindwa kila ya kufanya. Kwa hivyo utapata mwananchi tu mwenyewe anatoka, sio bila kurasimishwa, hata bila kupangiwa. Unajitoa tu, unaona kama ni kukufa sasa, sitakufa kwa nyumba, wacha nikufie kwa watu mahali wanaona.
Economist Odhiambo Ramogi has also poked holes at the 2025 to 2026 budget estimates.
No, it's not an ideal budget. An ideal budget must have development at least, 30%. An ideal budget must have some investment. An ideal budget must attract investment. An ideal budget must focus on production. So this is not an ideal budget. It's a survival budget. They are just trying to survive until things either get very bad or somehow, somewhere a miracle happens.
The Economist adds that over 1/3 of the budget has been allocated to wastage.
Budgeted corruption is a thing in the Kenya Kwanza administration, and that needs to be addressed. But it was also a thing in the Jubilee administration. Anybody who thinks Kenya Kwanza is new is mistaken. Kenya Kwanza is just a continuance of the Jubilee administration. What was wrong then is still wrong now. The high debt situation then is still here. The over-investment in public infrastructure that really does not make economic sense is still still there today.
This year's budget policy statement containing the budget estimates was tabled in Parliament today afternoon and will form the basis for the drafting of this year's finance bill. Kenyans wait to see whether members of Parliament will consider their views when debating the statement and the finance bill. David Muthoka, NTV, Nairobi.